Welcome back to the After Hours podcast. I'm your host, Francisco. Co-host today, I have Joey Prohaska, and we are joined with Daniel and Amy from Dees Country Cocktail Lounge. How you guys doing?
Great. How are you?
We're doing pretty good. You know, it's starting to feel like fall for once. So, yeah, we're enjoying the weather right now, and that's just about it.
Good fire weather to have some fires in the backyard.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
So, you guys are down in Tennessee. How are things going down there with COVID?
Well, the numbers have been going up, and now they seem to be kind of leveling off or doing a little bit better. And as far as our businesses go, we're happy to be able to be open in a safe way. So, things are going okay. We're hoping they'll continue to improve.
And what strides have you guys made from the transition from all in person and pretty good flow in 2019 to what 2020 has become?
Let's see. We actually, while we were closed in March and April and May and June and July, we were doing a lot of live streaming. We increased our equipment that we had to do some audio and video, and we've been able to do that, and we're continuing that now that we're open with our live music. So that's been a big project that we've continued to work on, starting really from just streaming before with iPhones on Facebook, and now we've got 4 cameras and some pretty robust software to help us do the live streaming. And then we also have a beer garden that we've expanded and improved quite a bit, and we're going to put a stage back there. We've worked on making sure that the air is circulated and clean as best as possible inside by adding a UV light cleaner to our air conditioning unit, and then 2 more mini split AC and heating units to maximize how much air is being circulated in there and making sure everybody's breathing as fresh air as possible.
Very cool. What kind of stuff have you guys been live streaming?
It's been around the genre of Americana, some country, some blues. We have a great jazz artist that plays on Sundays. So it's a mix, but, mostly in that Americana overall genre.
Very nice, yeah. And sounds like you guys are up in the production there too. You got some 4K cameras now and stuff, so very cool.
Yeah, we're excited to be learning how to use them well and get some really good sounds and video that people will, enjoy more than just some guy on a couch playing some songs for you.
I would say so. Like live music is a pretty big attraction of Dees.
It's certainly become that. When we first opened, I mean, it was still just like trying to figure out, how Dees would work in general. And we were going to just shoot for live music on the weekends. And we just needed more. And then we started off, we put the Madison Guild on Mondays, and that was really successful. It's one of our favorite nights there.
Kind of a curated songwriter night of sorts.
Yeah. And then we added our East Nash Grass on Mondays. And after that, we just got to a point where just, if we're going to do it, let's do it. So I just told Daniel, I was like, book as much as you can. Let's just see how this goes.
And you guys mentioned you guys are opening up a beer garden in the back. Is that just help with some of the regulations in place, so you have like outdoor dining and stuff like that?
Well, yeah, it's something we really wanted to do, but it just wasn't a huge pressing priority before. But since COVID, we're like, all right, let's just get the show on the road back there. We had to make it more accessible and user friendly. It's a little rough. So we've expanded it. Like we moved the fence that used to be up, and we moved it uphill, and we fixed our drainage issue. And doing that, we had some railroad ties put in, so that adds a ton of additional seating, and it just feels more open. And after the stage goes in, we have more live shows. We have a great bar out there. We have ping pong.
Yes, most importantly, we got an outdoor ping pong table. So, game on.
Most importantly.
Are you guys going to have a beer pong night or something like that?
No beer pong, just ping pong.
Beer being drank while they're playing ping pong, though.
Okay.
That's fair.
Yep.
I know. I've heard from a couple other places they've done that. They set up a ping pong table. So
it sounds fun, but I really try to keep that level and that type of drinking to a minimum. We don't even serve like Fireball or Jaeger or Red Bull. So to me, beer pong would just fall in that realm of people getting smashed.
Yeah, that definitely may happen.
It's really fun at your house, when you can just fall down in your yard and stay there. It's just not fun at a bar.
Right.
Yeah, it's probably a good call that we'll cut off the fireball and Jaeger have had some pretty bad nights. So.
So you guys are in Madison. So why do you think Madison in the Memphis, Tennessee area is a great place for Dees?
Well, I can't speak so much for Memphis because, we're pretty far from there. Madison is, it's just north of the east side, but there's a ton of country music history. It was a thriving suburb and a lot of country music stars lived up there. And to be honest, like the east side it's just the pricing was so crazy and there's a ton of competition and the opportunity arose for us to get this location. And it just seemed like it would be a great fit. We have a ton of talent here in Nashville. Madison is more accessible with parking and not being as crowded. You don't have to pay for parking.
And Madison has a history of country music people that have been, in the past living there, like the Carter family and Patsy Cline and Hank Snow. And just what Amy was saying also was the East Nashville area kind of became saturated with a great artistic culture, but because it became so cool, it's kind of being, the musicians and artists are being priced out, and a lot of them are moving up to Madison, Tennessee, just north of Nashville.
And what else is Madison known for? I'm really not familiar with the area.
Well, it was really popular. It was a really nice suburb, like I mentioned once, and then it fell off hard for a long time, and it became a really rough neighborhood. And they didn't have any. They didn't really have any like good, fun, safe bars or venues.
Well, there's a really nice mall
way north in Rivergate. But yeah, it just seemed like it was ripe with opportunity. So we took it. But since we've opened, it's pretty funny. I know a couple people that have rented in the area because they were close to Dees, and I know 3 people that bought homes in the area when they were shopping for a house so they could be close to Dees because it was their favorite bar, and they figured they're going to live in a neighborhood. They'd prefer to have their local bar down the street.
And also, in the past year, Yazoo Brewery has opened down the road in Madison. They're the big local Nashville brewers. And East Side Bowl, bowling alley / cafe / music venue is going to open down the road soon, as well as probably a big barn in the next year or two that will host the Music City Roots that used to be hosted on a different part of town. So some big things happening in Madison. And I guess Dees was the start of it all.
We're the pioneers.
Yeah, totally kidding, but
of the wild north.
It feels like that sometimes.
How does that feel to have such an influence on people that are making purchasing decisions, like buying a home, and the influence that you guys have on some people?
It's awesome. We didn't know what to expect when we opened Dees. So the way it's turned out is it's flattering and it's exciting and encouraging, and I think it's great for Madison. It makes us really happy.
There are a lot of moments at Dees where we just have to take a step back and look around and really be grateful for the community that's grown around us. And the biggest compliment that I feel like I've received developing the music program there is that Dees has been an incubator for artists around town, being able to develop their sound and their songs and grow that musical community. So that's been really exciting.
Absolutely. So you guys touched on the revival of Madison and where it's headed for the future. How did you guys first decide that you wanted to set up in Madison?
I became friends with a gentleman named Andy Gaines and his wife, Becky Gaines. And I would hang out at his bar and their bar, Mickey's, all the time. And got to a point where I was just talking to Andy. I was like, dude, there's just no country bars in this town. I grew up in Chicago, and I moved here from New York City. And I thought it was bizarre that there wasn't just like a regular bar with a jukebox that played country music that was just a cool little spot. So we would drive around, look around Madison to see if we saw any, spots with potential. And then this one little tiny bar behind the sex toy store that was just a smoker beer bar. And this woman needed to unload it. And it could not have come at a more perfect opportunity and a great price. So we jumped on it.
Very nice. And what's the inspiration for the name?
While I was researching different neons and things like that, history of bars and lounges and clubs and things like that, Cocktail Lounge was a big neon that was outside a lot of the doors. And we were playing with a couple of names and they just didn't sound right. And then one day I was sitting there and I was like, well, can I insert my name somehow and make it sound cool? Because Dees kinds of sound like it would be a bar anyway. And I don't know, I just whipped up Dees Country Cocktail Lounge, and almost like as a homage to my mom as well, who ironically enough is a non-drinker and my dad was the drinker. So that's how the name came about.
Awesome. Love the name. So going off that, kind of, how did you craft the look and the feel of Dees?
I grew up in Chicago, but we had family. Like my mom's side of the family lived in northern Wisconsin, and my dad's side of the family lived in southern Wisconsin. So between all the bars in Chicago in the 80s and those bars up north in the 80s, they'd been around for decades. So you go into these old beer halls and bars, and they all kind of had a really cool old feel to it. And I liked the way they looked. So when I got into that space, I looked around and like, this could be easily, it just seemed like that's what it was supposed to look like. It was supposed to look like an old bar from the 70s or 80s, and a welcoming and exactly what you'd think you'd run into if you were maybe in the middle of Wisconsin or Chicago in the 80s.
And the font that is the Dees logo, Amy hired someone to kind of simulate the font that she liked off a Charlie Pride album from the 70s.
That was actually Becky's idea.
Look at that.
She came in for the save on that one, yeah. So thanks, Charlie Pride.
And what would you guys say is the most popular cocktail served at Dees?
Well, it's kind of a toss-up because, our old-fashioned is really good. It's just a classic recipe. Don't fuss it. You just make it from scratch. It's really easy and delicious. But we also have this crazy drink that has had a variation of different names. Our friend Josh couldn't help but call it a spicy meatball, and there's nothing meaty about it. But it's a spicy habanero mango cocktail. And we've now added fresh frozen mango to it, and we blend it. So we call it a spicy mango sloshy, because if you have too many, you'll get sloshed. And a few people and our margarita is pretty on point because we use fresh juices. We just try to make the classic drinks, and we don't get too fussy. We just like to make the classic drinks and make them right.
Hey, it sounds good to me.
So how do you think your bar compares to a lot of the other ones in Nashville, like Margaritaville and I can't think of some of the other ones, but like some of the bigger ones downtown. How would you say the Madison Vibe is like different from the actual downtown Nashville?
We're different because we're nothing like it.
I think mainly the big difference is that we are a locals bar. We're a neighborhood bar. It's all about the community there. Whereas the bars you mentioned that are downtown, it's all based on the tourist industry, and the performers that'll perform at our bar aren't really. They might mix in a few cover songs, but it's about their original music. Whereas downtown, you won't hear a lot of original music. It's mostly either playing just 80s covers or modern country covers or something like that.
So is it mostly just like country music that's played?
No, there's a lot of Americana. It's very, very songwriter driven establishment. We had soul.
And on the weekends, we'll have some rock bands sometimes if it's not too loud, because of we are a triple wide trailer. So there's only so much noise that place can tolerate. But, some, roots rock type bands, and like Amy said, some kind of soul and blues music. We had Kenny Vaughn playing on Tuesdays for quite a while. He's the guitarist from Marty Stewart, but his trio that he plays with is really pretty straight ahead blues music. Really good original stuff.
Nice. All right, let's take it back now. So how long have you guys been in operation, and what was the inspiration behind opening it in the first place? That being Dees.
We opened in October 2016. It took us about, I think, 10 weeks to get open. But it was what I thought was a void that, when I moved here in October of 2013, I'm driving around with my friends going to all these places that are all new to me. They've been around for a while. And I was really, like I mentioned before, I was really taken aback that I asked them, I was like, well, where's just like a regular bar? I think it's like a country music bar. you're like, oh, the honky tonks are downtown. I'm like, I'm not talking about a honky tonk. I'm just talking about a good old fashioned tavern with a solid jukebox. It's not digital with real CDs in there and cold beer. Didn't have it. It took a Yankee. It took a Yankee to put a country cocktail bar in Madison or Nashville.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. Like what you described is kind of what I picture when I think of like Nashville. Just a good old, country music and a good old time bar. I don't know.
I mean, I guess like downtown decades ago, I'm guessing, when it was still pretty dodgy, kind of resembled that for sure. It's, where, country music and that culture thrived. But as time went on and it became more and more commercialized, those songwriters and I guess maybe just became less valuable because the tourists wanted to hear the songs that played on the radio with live people in front of them. And I think I'm pretty certain that is what's behind our friend Josh Headley's song, Mr. Jukebox. He's, come in and he's a live person singing, jukebox songs. And their originals aren't owners in those bars don't really push for it. They want to hear what the tourists demand. And unfortunately, they don't always want to hear what Nashville songwriters want to sing, and they're missing out, but they don't miss out at Dees.
Oftentimes you find the mighty dollar doesn't always follow what the most artistic music is. So we try to balance that.
Well said. And Amy, you said that you were from Chicago and then New York. Daniel, where are you from?
I'm originally from Fort Worth, Texas, and I went to college down in New Orleans, and I started kind of doing my own songwriting and performing with the guitar. I moved up to Colorado for a few years, and then I've been in Nashville for the past 12 years. I moved here to write songs, and I still play music with my band, but obviously running the music program at Dees has taken over, and I'm really enjoying just helping facilitate others with their musical dreams as well.
Very nice. What's your band's name?
We decided on the Killer Dees, and that's with no apostrophe, unlike the bar. So the Killer Dees, because it's me, who Daniel, and my bass player Dan Seymour, and our other guitarist Ben DeBerry, and our keyboardist David Warren. So I actually was inspired because I saw during football season a couple years ago. It was the Killer Bees for Ben and Levon Bell and just all the players that had bees in their name on the Pittsburgh Steelers. So it instantly came to me.
Do you guys ever perform at Dees?
We are lucky enough to be one of the few bands in Nashville that's been able to play regularly, almost straight through the pandemic. We play just about every Thursday and stream live at 8 p.m. on Central on Thursdays there.
That's awesome. Got to check it out sometime.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun up there.
What would you say is your favorite part about operating a bar?
Obviously we've met some really badass people. I don't think I would have had the opportunity for some of the friendships that have forged, had we not opened that place. But I think I know that my happiest moments about it are when I look around and I see how diverse our crowd can be. Gay, straight, doesn't matter where you're from, doesn't matter what religion you practice. And people are just hanging out, having a great time. We've had people meet there and get married a couple months later. We've had people go there on their first dates with people they're still with and will probably marry. So I like the unity and how loving and fun it is.
It's nice to know it's such a nice, safe place for people to meet up, and it's like she said, the diverse community that we see there. It's really nice to know that's a place that exists as a home away from home for people.
Awesome. And what would you say is your least favorite part?
Oh, without a doubt, adults that cannot behave themselves. Out of control, like they just become like essentially full grown wasted toddlers, and it's they can't reason with them. It's just it makes the job more trying.
Is that part of the reason for the lack of Jaeger and Fireball?
For sure. Just I've worked at enough bars, and when I first moved here, I worked downtown, and I would just see just like the knucklehead drinking patterns, and I just knew that when I opened a place, I'm like, I just don't I just don't think that drinking, that specific drinking demographic, not that all of them are knuckleheads that drink that stuff. I just don't think they were part of my vision for Dees.
I can't confirm as a drinker of those two products.
It
Uh, yeah,
was
you
more like,
probably best off not telling them.
it was just choosing like a safer, well cultured environment over the money because I could have made more money selling it. I just wanted to bypass it, and that's how I came across the old smoky, spicy mango whiskey because we just mix it with our house made fresh lime sour. And if somebody wants Fireball, I was like, I got something better.
Very nice. Yeah, offer better alternative. Can't beat that.
Yeah, we've got plenty of Amaro. I don't have Jaeger, but I've got Ramazzotti, I've got Fernet, Amaro Montenegro. I've got solutions. I'm just not here for a no. I'll give you options too.
I'm curious. So Daniel, you said you were in New Orleans and then you've been in Nashville. What would you say is the music difference and just what's it like performing in Nashville compared to New Orleans?
Uh, that's a good question. New Orleans, it's almost like in some ways, a third world country down there. It's got a funk to it that kind of seeps through everything, and so it's not so funky up here. It's more, based around some twang and country. But I would say, Nashville is a good place to hone your craft and meet other like-minded musicians and artists. But it's not always the most fun live music town to play in. I enjoy it, but going to places like New Orleans or Denver or anywhere else, you find a lot of people who maybe are more appreciative of the live music and react more and are more apt to dance. And this is just a general statement, but that's overall, I think, the difference in the vibes is that you go down to New Orleans and play a show, you're going to have a lot of, really excited people to see your music. Whereas in Nashville, you hope that they'll maybe clap out to your song.
Gotcha.
Tough crowd.
It can be. Everybody's judging everybody else, whether they mean to or not. It's a competitive town.
And both those towns have such rich music backgrounds too.
Right.
Way different like music, but they definitely both have very rich music backgrounds.
Absolutely.
Do you have any tips for controlling the audience or getting their engagement?
Oh boy. I think that something I've learned along the way is that people don't really care about your song. What they care about is a moment. They want it to be special. They want an experience. So the more that you can not worry about forgetting the words, whether you repeat a verse or not, but show that you're having a good time and make sure that the people that are watching you have a good time. That's the most important. And then people will be more open to hearing your music if they're able to experience a real moment.
I find they're really responsive when you tell stories about how you came up with the songs, and some of them are really funny. So once you give someone an opening, like this is what this is about, so listen, and it gets. And when you get to certain lines, like people are waiting for the story, and you get some good laughs out of the audience. I've noticed.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things too where you see a performer that's like getting into it, having a good time, and then the crowd's getting into it, and then that just reciprocates back to the original artist. You guys just feed off of each other when you're having a good time.
Bouncing the energy back and forth. You said it.
Yes, sir. And you guys have been around since the age of social media. What part does that play in your digital presence and your marketing?
I mean, I think it's the obvious that we reach a lot more people, and I think especially since this COVID madness and people being stuck at home is certainly helped elevate our platform and have more people reach out and seek us out.
It helps us let people know that we're back open now, and it helps them understand whether we hadn't much in the past, but now we're charging a cover some to help us cover our costs and cover the bands, and make sure the artists make some money. But tonight and tomorrow night, for instance, we don't have any music going on. And it's just an opportunity for people to come and experience their favorite bar again if they haven't in months, and not have to worry about a cover and just enjoy the jukebox. So it helps us communicate with our guests and our fans and our friends to let them know what's going on each night as well.
I like that. And What would you say are the most popular holidays for Dees? What attracts the most business?
Thanksgiving is hands down my absolute favorite and our best holiday of the year. I mean, this year will probably look different, but all the other years we would, just open up our doors and tell people to bring potluck and have to cover the pool table and rig up all sorts of extension cords for all the crock pots that come in. And they're just every surface that's not the actual bar top is covered with all sorts of food, and people just come and have the best time. It's so great. The fire going outside, we're frying turkey, someone's smoking a turkey, someone brings jambalaya. Like you never know what's going to come, and I think it's a lot of fun. And then we're open. I tell the staff if they want to be open on Christmas and Christmas Eve, it is up to them because I've worked in enough restaurants and bars over the last 2 decades where our bosses make us work and steal our opportunity to spend time with our family. So I let the staff decide if you're here and you want to open the doors, then do it. And then there's days, on Christmas Day, we'll be open for a little while and people come in and we'll open later on in the evening, and people are real happy just to either get away from their family or get to hang out with someone because they don't have any.
Right. It sounds like Dees really brings the whole community together.
It does. It makes me so happy.
What kind of foods are traditionally brought to these Thanksgiving feasts?
Oh my God. So our friend Travis has smoked a couple turkeys and we've fried a couple, like I said. And my friend Jeff brought the most enormous sheet pan of jambalaya last year, all different variations of potatoes and stuffing.
We have several pies, of course. And more. I forgot some of the odd flavors of pies, but they're always really good.
Different beans and greens, and there's also like someone last year brought like Scotch eggs and last year I did a version of more like a Puerto Rican style roasted turkey, so we kind of jazzed that up. I had someone else make rice and gandules, another Puerto Rican dish. So it's kind of like whatever like food you would have with your family and you're not around them. Like we want you to bring that because I mean we've all had enough potatoes, stuffing, and cranberry sauce, and we could choose solid food. So
I can never get enough of that.
I'm excited. I'm excited to try other cultures' versions of Thanksgiving. So
that's okay too.
I think it's fun to have other stuff.
Yeah, that sounds so good, and it's pretty unique. I've never heard of anybody doing something like that for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, me neither. It's awesome.
It was cool. It was last year, the East Nashvilleian did a little write-up of it, and it was a lot of fun. And, people buy their drinks, but you can eat all the food you can gorge yourself with for free.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
you're making us hungry.
Stopping by. I'll stop by for Thanksgiving.
So past that, do you guys sell any food?
Yeah, we have since I'm from Chicago, I do a Chicago-style Italian beef. I saw a void there, too, so we offer that.
It is the best in town.
And if I don't have the proper bread or the ingredients, so we just take it off the menu. And then we have a Frito pie, which we use our house-made ground beef with taco sauce, cheese, and sour cream, and you eat it with a fork out of the bag. And I just put on mushroom bao buns because I was trying to think of something fun.
Shiitakes.
Yeah, with shiitake mushrooms that people that were carnivores and non-carnivores would enjoy. So we just have those 3 items on right now.
Hey, sounds good to me. Amy, you mentioned that you were previously working in the food industry, and Daniel, you were in the entertainment industry. But if you guys weren't operating Dees, what do you see yourselves doing?
Well, I actually have spent most of my adult life also teaching. I was a guitar and piano teacher and taught at a music school for a while and did that for a while in Nashville too. And then after I went on tour with a band for a while, my lessons fell off, and I actually this is my 8th year now. I've been teaching in the Nashville public school system as a math teacher. So I'm kind of running a double life here, and it sometimes drives me crazy, but I do enjoy both.
I used to when I moved to New York, I moved there with a fashion designer, so I did a lot of fashion and worked in that industry. I don't know. I don't know if like what I would see myself doing if I wasn't doing Dees. I suppose if anything, I would see myself setting up a little sort of like I guess like a little Airbnb community in Puerto Rico on the beach because that is definitely the ultimate goal.
Yeah, can't beat that. So Daniel, you live a bit of a double life there. So in the morning you're teaching school, and then at night you're partying hard and just a rock star on stage, or what?
That would probably be an exaggeration on both ends, but I do try to wake up and be alert for my students. Right now, we're all online, so I got to log in and make sure I'm looking good for the camera at 10 a.m. And as of right now, we're only allowed to be open till 10:30, so that keeps me out of trouble.
Good answer.
Thanks.
So, does the state have any plans to move it past 10:30 anytime soon? Because I know, so here in Ohio, and I believe Michigan as well, they have to stop serving alcohol at 10, but they can stay open till 11.
It's just Nashville that is able to kind of regulate the openings and closings for Davidson County, where Nashville is, which I think the rest of the state, not necessarily the whole state, but a lot of the state is allowed to be open as late as they want. So it may change in the near future, but they're basing it on the data, they're basing it on the numbers and whether they're going up or down. And we've only been open now for a little over 2 weeks, 3 weeks now, excuse me. And we're just happy to be open and be able to be allowed to have 25 people inside and 25 people outside, especially now with our expanded outdoor seating. And we wish we could be open a little later, but we understand why the rules are in place. And we just hope that they can continue to enforce the rules, because we've been hearing some things about downtown that just, the city hasn't been enforcing its rules, and that's not going to help anybody if they can't do that with all of the tourists coming in town.
It's gotten a little better. They did stop traffic between 5th and 6th on Lower Broadway. So there was more room for the tourists to move around the sidewalk because they're so limited in their capacity inside. But, I think the better everyone follows the rules and enforces them, to try and keep this going at a downward curve, the sooner we'll all get back to opening with longer hours and being able to accommodate more people. And like I said, Daniel said, I was like, we're happy to follow the rules. We want it all just to be, we want everyone to be safe. And when it's time, it's time. We just want it all to be a fair playing ground, and everyone enforcing the rules so we can get back to work.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure the kids are even missing being back at school, as weird as that is to say. I mean, I can't imagine. Yeah, right. Like, I can't imagine being like, say, like a senior in high school, and you have to miss out on, prom, homecoming, your senior year of varsity sports. Like, that would suck. Like, that would just not be fun.
Absolutely. I definitely feel it for those that, a lot of students really rely on that interaction and those moments, and some of their home lives aren't so great. So I do hope that they're able to safely return, and that everything, where students are returning now, that everything goes well, and that, the numbers can stay down.
The Downriver School District in Michigan, where I'm from, they actually just resumed Michigan sports athletics. So I don't really know how I feel about that, but it's a direction that Michigan's taking. So
hopefully they've got a lot of safety protocols in place, and hopefully things will stay safe. It's a lot of unknowns, and that's a lot of uncertainties. And so I hope that everything goes well with that.
Yes, sir.
I was going to say, my little sister, she was super excited the first 3 months of not having school. Now she's like, I just want to go back. But actually in her district, you can choose whether you can go or not, or whether you want to go or not, which is kind of strange. I don't know how they're doing that exactly. But
the parents are going crazy. The kids are going crazy. Everyone's been together longer than they've ever been before.
Yeah, right.
Ready for it to some sense of normalcy, but obviously safe, because they want their families to survive.
I know Findlay College, it's a smaller college in Ohio. They're doing it where half their classes are in person or half are online. And when they come to class, the teacher is in like a 8x8 bubble in the corner of the room, like in plexiglass. And they can't leave that until all students are out of the room. So they have to be there 10 minutes early, make sure they're the only ones in the class. They teach within that, I've never seen it. This is what I've been told from people that go to Findlay.
Yeah,
But yeah, isn't that crazy? Like, I've
that
never
is. I have not heard of that. Although
Yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed to it if I was required to be in the classroom right now. I would go ahead and get in my bubble.
Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy to think about, but it's one alternative solution, I guess, to where the teacher doesn't have it, but then the students obviously still carry the risk of it.
Right, and that's the thing, and we have a plexiglass between the bartender and the customer at one portion of our bar where we encourage people to go up and order, and we require people to wear masks anytime they're moving around the room or standing up. But if they're sitting at their table drinking and eating just with their small group, or if they're outside, then they can take them off. But we're trying to do our best to make sure that people are safe and that we're not contributing to any kind of part of the problem.
Right on. Is there occupancy capacity that you guys have to abide by?
Yes, right now in Nashville, as I said a minute ago, they're requiring, and this isn't just for our size bar, but for really all of them, including the big ones downtown. They're not supposed to have anybody more than 25 people inside. Doesn't matter how big, not 25%, but 25 people total. And then they just allowed 25 more outside to accommodate for a lot of places outdoor seating that they have available that shouldn't add to your total of people inside. Not that everyone is following that well. So it kind of goes back to enforcement and making sure that if they're going to have a rule that everybody is required to follow it as best as possible.
Gotcha. Yeah. Um, I I don't think I've ever been to Nashville. Definitely not when I was like of drinking age. Are there open container policies there?
Now you can have to go drinks. I don't think you're supposed to be drinking them in public, but it happens downtown. And downtown is also like a different district. It's a downtown entertainment district. So I see it down there, but as far as like our business is concerned, you weren't allowed to go past our front porch with a drink in your hand as of the beginning of COVID. And now you can have to go drinks, but they have to be in a sealed container. So what they do with them after they leave, I guess, is like on them. It's a little gray area, I think. I think if you're responsible and not acting like a ding dong in public, no one's going to bother you.
Right.
I mean, that's fair. It's almost like you should respect the laws and respect people. Something weird like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy, but you'd be surprised how difficult it is.
So you guys currently operate Dees Country Cocktail Lounge. Do you have any thoughts to expand maybe to another business, another bar, anything along those lines?
A friend of ours, whose wife is Austrian, said that we would do really well in Austria, and we entertain the idea all the time. But
Dees Ost.
yeah, I'm also like thinking about we love Puerto Rico, so I would love to figure out if that was at all possible to do these Caribbean cocktail lounge. But we're getting back up on our feet here from COVID, so we'll see what the next year or two brings us.
That'd be pretty sweet, though.
It'd be
Have
really
these
sweet.
in Madison, have a beachside one in Puerto Rico, and then have one abroad in Austria.
Yep.
We'll get there.
Yeah, my wine in Austria would be a hell of a lot better than my Boda Box options right now.
Yeah, because I mean, for the most part, Europe's pretty much up and running, like 80-90% capacity of like what they were before. I know definitely in like Scandinavia, like Sweden, Finland, Denmark, they were able to nip it in the bud pretty fast.
Sweden, actually, I was just in NPR. They didn't really do much of a shutdown. They kind of are a bit in trouble, but I know that New Zealand they crushed it.
New Zealand, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably a little easier when you're on an island, but I think also just they took it seriously from the beginning, and I think that's something that we could take a little cue from.
And a woman runs that country.
Well, I mean, we were in talks with a bar owner from New Zealand, so hopefully pretty soon, in the next month or so, we can get him on. That'd be pretty cool.
Oh,
Get his opinion on it.
It would be fun to listen to that and hear how much back to normal life they've gotten.
Yeah, that's what I'm interested in now too, because I did not know that. So that'll be fun. And then biggest challenge right now is obviously the time difference. Being like 10 hours removed. So
Right, yeah, find the right time there.
But yeah, anyway, back to you guys.
Yeah.
Why do you guys think that people with other businesses in the food and beverage industry have a hard time, they struggle, or ultimately fail?
I think that some of it, my perception from some of the ones I've seen fail, I think keeping like culture control, what you will and will not tolerate, once again over the dollar. Allowing, like, when you have those digital jukeboxes, you kind of allow the crowd to control what the vibe is going to be with the music. And that was my problem with the big digital jukebox. If you have 100 CDs in there and you don't like one of them in that jukebox, then you might not be in the right bar. So it's, you set the culture and the tone and the rules, and yeah, you just dictate what you think is going to be a healthy, safe environment. And I think that's what people feed off of. And those that come in that aren't really into it, or don't think fondly of it, they might be looking for something rowdier.
And quality control, obviously, it kind of speaks to what she's saying about when she wouldn't serve the Italian beef if the Toronto rolls weren't in, and just making sure everybody feels welcome. Not that a lot of places that fail wouldn't attempt all those things, but I think it's finding the right niche and making sure that you're doing something at least somewhat unique in the market.
And having a solid staff that's knowledgeable and genuine. That's another thing. It's, pretending to be happy someone's there because they're spending is different than genuinely being happy to see them and remembering them by their names or what's going on in their life. And we have solid relationships with our regulars, and even people that are new that we meet. We bond pretty quickly with people, and I think that's a difference also when the owners aren't on premise a lot. You're not really in touch with your clientele. You're losing an opportunity to really bond with them and create a broader community, and for them to have then tell their friends and pass the word along about your place and how great it is. You've gone. I mean, I think we've all gone to places where you've gone to a bar and the bartender couldn't give a shit about what you wanted to drink or any sort of small talk, and that's just not how we operate. We're happy to be there and we're happy to provide a service.
100% agree. I mean, if I just wanted to have a drink and not socialize, I'd just drink at my house, right? Like,
And the thing is, you can do that at Dees. There's little nooks and corners. We have one regular. He's pretty funny. He looks like he doesn't want to talk to everyone, but when he does, pretty nice. But he's got his own little nook he sits in. I always make a joke about him being baby in the corner, a little Dirty Dancing reference, and he can sit there and not talk. I have another regular that comes in and reads a book. He's clearly putting up his antisocial guard, but he's cool and he's happy, and other people want to chat and get along.
Yeah, I like to say Frankie likes to stay in his bubble sometimes.
Sometimes it's safer when you're in your little bubble.
Oh yeah, of course.
don't have to deal with people like Joey.
So talking a little bit more about Madison and Nashville as a whole, if people were to go to one of those places and they weren't going to Dees, where would you recommend they go?
Oh, Five Spot's a great venue in East Nashville. I also recommend Brown's Diner. I actually don't think it's open right now, but it's just a old trailer that's been converted, and it serves great little greasy burgers and has little bands in the corner sometimes. And it's been around since around 1920. So there's some really cool little spots.
Hell yeah. That's what we like to hear. We like to hear about those, I don't know, those like little hole in the wall places that not everyone talks about. So definitely wouldn't mind checking those out.
Yeah, when I went to Nashville, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, Coyote Ugly, Margaritaville, Tootsie's, like those are where you got to go." But I'd never heard of like the.
Recommend that maybe have terrible taste or they don't like you.
Yeah, that's what was like recommended to me. So it's nice actually hearing from. But these people weren't locals, they were just other one of my friends, people who have like just went there before.
Right, they've been.
There's a bar called Santa's Pub that's like another trailer bar, and the old dude looks straight up like Santa, and he's a little gruff, but he's got his little beer bar, and you can smoke your smokes there and hang out, and there's Christmas decorations, and that's been a long time staple of like good Nashville dive bars.
And if people insist on going downtown, I think both of us recommend Robert's before we recommend others, because at least if you go in there, the band is not just some cover band. It's an actual classic country or rockabilly band. So you're getting a taste of what it was like back in the day. And so if we were going to recommend one of those big downtown honky tonks, it would be Roberts, because it kind of stays more true to the history than a lot of the other ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind next time I make it over that way.
There you go.
Good to know. Yeah, we'll stop by Dees and then we might hit the Strip. I don't know.
I like the one you said, the Santa bar. Put the Marlboro in the pocket.
Santa's pub. Yeah.
I like that a lot. You guys are from Chicago and Texas, respectively. What are some hometown restaurants that you would recommend?
For Chicago, I think for like classic Chicago food is a small, it started off as a small business, Portillo's. It's now huge and they finally made a killing. But Portillo's is awesome for classic Chicago style food. And I would be shamed if I didn't mention Rick Bayless, who is a great chef who does Mexican food, but elevated, and it's beautiful. His versions of that food is delightful, and I do miss going there.
And as far as Texas, I'd mention a place that's been around for about 100 years called Joe T. Garcia's. It may not be the best Mexican food in the whole world, but I think the flavors there are great. And for dinner, you have two choices. You either get the fajitas or you get the dinner. And it comes with some enchiladas and tacos, and that's your choices. And the barbecue, there's so much great barbecue down there, but there's a place called Railhead Barbecue that's my dad's favorite, and it's pretty darn good. And it's not the same as the Dallas barbecue. It's not as good in Dallas, of course. You got to go to the Fort Worth, Texas Railhead Barbecue.
You haven't taken me there.
We'll go next time, I promise, for your birthday.
And how did you two meet?
Tinder.
Oh,
No shit. Yeah, we had mutual friends. But yeah, we were one of the few Tinder success stories.
Back in the Wild West days of the Tinder, back years ago.
That's awesome, though.
That's wild. Yeah, that's a new one. I've not heard that. I mean, it's just one of those things now. Tinder is completely different from like its intended purpose, I feel like, than what it was before.
No, it has changed a lot. You're right about that.
I just think like if you put up like, photos of yourself and you're just, it really kind of, I guess, depends on what you're selling. Because man, did I see some interesting things on there. I had friends that were on it, and the pictures they would put up, I'm like, are you wondering why you're getting the messages in your inbox that you are? You might want to change that picture to something a little less
intriguing.
Yes.
Understand.
But he was well traveled, and he had a great smile, and he's a teacher and he's a musician. I'm like, oh, this is cool. And he's cute. I'll meet him.
She gave me a chance.
That's awesome.
1 in a million success story on Tinder.
There
you heard it here first.
That's right.
What is some advice that you would give to somebody that is looking to start in the food and beverage industry?
My first thought is to wait.
Yeah, wait at least a year.
But, seriously, I think if somebody's thinking about doing something like that now, they have to look at where the world's at right now and try to offer things that maybe are difficult for other bars or restaurants to offer, which would be, making sure it's as safe as possible. Look at doing outdoor seating and how they can make everything comfortable. Because, in reality, even without COVID going on, a lot of people don't like to be packed up against other people all the time, or when they're out. And so I guess I would say try to be realistic about what people want right now.
Yeah, and know what your vision is. My idea to open Dees, like, no one else is doing it. So that's why I thought, like, everything's a gamble because you never know if you're going to succeed. You always hope that you do. But you definitely want to stand out and offer something that's not saturated.
Well said. Yeah, going into the food and beverage industry at any time is pretty risky, but obviously now even more so than ever. So that's some great advice.
Yeah, just keep your options limited and solid, because it kind of gets overwhelming when you go to a bar and there's like, and I love like, cocktails, but some of them just really get out of hand and takes a long time to make. And then the food's good, but it's real fussy. I think people that when they're out, they just want to go out and hang out with their friends. They just want to go out and have what's presented them to be easy and comprehensive.
Yeah, we went to a place and it had just opened, but I ordered a cocktail and it was taking so long, like literally over 15 minutes to make, that I, in the meantime, ordered a beer and drank the beer, and then finally the cocktail came. So
Wow.
that was taking a little long in my mind.
Was it at least like a complicated drink?
It was, I guess it was, and it actually tasted really good. But I was really thirsty, so they ran the beer really quick.
I've seen some of those like Bloody Marys too, with like 107 things on them. Shrimp, lobster, celery, 7 pickles. Bacon. Yeah.
You're making me hungry.
I just saw one. I went to a party foul for brunch on Saturday with some friends that were in town, and right when you walk in the door, they have this advertisement for a brunch for 2, and it's a 55-ounce Bloody Mary with 2 fried Cornish hens, a split avocado, Scotch egg, and just a bunch of other stuff, and it was $50. I thought it was hilarious. I had no interest in it, but I thought it was hilarious.
That sounds so good though.
Honestly, if you're hungry, I mean, the garnishes are your lunch, brunch, whatever the hell you're eating, but you wash it down with that Bloody Mary, all 55 ounces of it.
Oh yeah, good little pick me up in the morning. And going off of that, what is your guys' hangover recipe?
That was one of the questions they.
Well, it depends on the severity, but man, if you think you're going to go out that night and really tie it on, you might want to have some Pedialyte in your fridge.
Pedialyte on the rocks.
I 100% agree.
A long time ago, when I had food poisoning when I lived in New York, and the lady at the counter, she's like, "It's really good, especially if you're hungover too," which I know you're not. She's like, "But it replaces the electrolytes," and that has just been information has been passed on to me from different sources throughout the years. So if I'm feeling like hell, I'll just chug some Pedialyte with some Advil and hope for the best.
Nice.
Hey, that's my go-to. Pedialyte. Consume some before you go to bed or while you're drinking, and then the next morning. Yeah, that's a pretty good hangover recipe. I mean,
so you guys you've traveled a lot all across the United States and maybe some other places as well. What is one place you could recommend for people to visit, either in the United States or anywhere in the world?
Mm-hmm. I think we are big Puerto Rico fans. We love that it's still a domestic flight. It's U.S. territory and U.S. citizens there, and so everybody speaks Spanish and English there. And it's just such a beautiful people and culture, and the food is so awesome, and the beaches are unparalleled. The beaches are so fantastic.
And they have a rainforest.
That's right. The only rainforest in the United States is in Puerto Rico. A lot of people don't know that.
Well, I did not know that.
I actually had no idea.
Okay.
Yeah,
I love facts like that too.
It's pretty, like when you're in there, and I mean, if you've never been there, any sort of like jungle terrain, and you're walking through there, it is mind blowing. It is absolutely stunning. And there's these fresh waterfalls in there and freshwater pools, these little freshwater shrimp that run across your toes. And it's a really cool place. You drive up in the mountains and you're there for a couple nights, and you drive down out of the mountains and you're at the beach. And there's surfing on the west side of the island in the winter. Like, world-class surfers go to Rincon to surf during the winter months. It has so much to offer. And like he said, the people are just, man, those people are just wonderful.
Does it ever get cold in Puerto Rico, or is it just summer all year round?
Hell no, it's awesome weather all the time, unless it's a hurricane.
Yeah, that could put a damper on things for sure. What would you say is the most thrill-seeking thing that you've done?
I mean, I've been skydiving before, and quite a few years back went on some class 4 rapids with my family. My uncle's a pretty crazy uncle, and took us down some rapids in Idaho. Those are a couple of the craziest things I could think of.
You did ice climbing too.
Oh yeah, me and my dad went ice climbing for years, which is pretty much like rock climbing, but like with the crampons and picks on your feet and carrying picks in your hands. And that was in Ouray, Colorado. That was pretty fun too.
I don't mess with heights. I don't mess with things that might kill me. I don't need that much of a thrill. I think maybe the most thrilling thing for me was like the insanity of willingly living in New York City as long as I did. It's pretty funny things that happen there. Lots of fun things, but yeah, I don't do the skydiving or climbing on cliffs.
Skydiving is actually safer than driving a car, is what I've been told.
That's cool. I'll take everyone's word for it. If there was a lot of money like involved for me to do it, like for charity or like I might, but just for like the thrill, yeah, I'll eat blowfish or something, at sushi.
All right, I'll give you $10 skydiving.
Yeah, I said a lot of money. COVID's made me broke, but I'm not that broke, man.
So, Daniel, how far did you go up when you went skydiving?
I think the plane was around, it was like the normal height. I think that's around 12,000 feet, although skydivers listening right now be like, no, dude, that's not it at all. But I think I can't remember.
Yeah, that sounds about right. When I went, it was 14, but I think they have two planes. You can either go like 9 or 14. So I'm sure 12 was like the standard.
Good. Then I'm glad I knew what I was talking about there. I think it was around 12,000.
Yeah, it's a crazy experience. I would definitely do it again personally.
Oh yeah, I would go. Yeah, I would definitely go again. And I paid for the film, of course, all that extra money for the film. And then the person I did it with messed it up. I never got the film. So I need to go again so I have proof.
Yeah, no, 100%. I was about to say, we actually got the video too, and it was just wild to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, great experience overall. And you watch a GoPro and your face is just like, your mouth is to your ears, and it's like, oh my gosh, you're falling. And it's sad to hear that you ended up not getting that video.
It just gives me another excuse to go. So exactly. I'll have to go with them.
Insurance policy goes up if you do
it. I'm interested in the rock climbing. Well, I guess snow climbing. Like, how do you get into that?
So my dad got into it because he wanted to climb kind of like the 7 peaks, not Everest, but a lot of the other peaks. And so got into rock climbing when I was a teenager with him. And then the same guide that we were using, the same kind of instructor, he had a trip to go ice climbing in Ouray, Colorado. And so we went, and then my dad got into it enough where we would just take a trip, father and son trip, every January out there. And it was a real special time. Eventually, we kind of had to slow down with that, but it was a really nice bonding experience. And it's interesting. It's a mecca there because there's a box canyon, like a small canyon that's formed, and they actually have run like little tiny pipes and with spigots, kind of like the cheap shower spigots that would come out every so odd yards. And then so they have like these gigantic waterfalls that are 100 meters high, or at the lowest point maybe just like 50 feet high, and you can climb up all different. It's kind of like a rock climbing park where you have all different kind of levels, and some of them are straight up and some of them are kind of more at a slope, but it's where people from all over the world come to rock climb. So that's our ice climb, and that's my ice climbing story.
That's an original one. Have not heard that before, and I don't think I know anybody that's ever done that. So I'd say that's pretty thrill seeking.
Oh yeah,
it's pretty crazy.
And I don't really have any more questions. I don't know if you guys have any questions for us.
Oh man, I just really want to make sure that we really appreciate the interview, that you guys reached out to us. We're excited to be able to share our story and be able to hear how it turns out. We really appreciate you guys.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing your other podcast too.
Oh, yeah.
Podcast person. I don't always listen to music in the car, so this is awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks for your time, and we really appreciate you guys coming on. You guys have been some great guests, and like I said, when we make it down to Tennessee, gotta stop by.
Oh yeah.
You have our information. If you don't contact us, there'll be a scolding.
We're doing like a little when probably about a year and a half from now, we're doing like little cross country road trips. So we'll make it down there. We promise.
We'll look forward to that. Thanks again, Frankie and Joey.
Yep. And where can people find you on social media or your website?
We are Dees Lounge 615. That's DEES. And that's all of our socials. And then deeslounge.com is our website where they can find out all about us. We're about to put up a new website here in the next few weeks. So we're excited to have some merch up there and so on.
Yeah, I mean, this podcast will go live in probably about a month from now, and then hopefully the site's up, and that'd be awesome.
Perfect.
Sweet, thanks.
All right, After Hours Nation, we hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like to stay updated, you can check out our site at afterhourscast.com. Don't forget to tune in next Tuesday morning for our next episode. After Hours Nation, stay thirsty, my friends.